we seen a bunch of videos. You sent EJ sent us a bunch of videos about discipline, about parents disciplining their kids. And one video I'm sure people have seen was the father on top of the little girl, where the wife.
That was here in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, it was in Clayton County. Where the wife, which is not her mother, is videotaping it, and I'm guessing she snuck out to maybe smoke weed with friends. I don't know the full story, but he in his head trying to warn her about streets and discipline her, like basically, I'm gonna give you this beating before outside gives you this beating, and I think it's too much personally. I don't know how y'all feel about it. Y'all can discuss how y'all feel about it. But what do y'all think, like, disciplinary style? Like, what would be your disciplinary style once they make mistakes that they will make?
I'm definitely going to let you go first on this one. Because we have
I think we
different
were talking
opinions.
briefly about this. We definitely have a difference of opinion. But just to comment on that video, I feel like it was excessive. I know a lot of people will disagree because Black people are raised in a certain way. And I don't think that my philosophy on discipline aligns with the Black generation or Black people for the most.
Yours, because you're
better word.
You're super liberal.
Okay.
He's a timeout.
Yeah.
He's a timeout.
But I will say
And please be good.
My upbringing is that
Right.
like we got beatings, you know what I mean? Like, so that's not something that I'm not accustomed to. But in that instance, I think at one point he pulled her hair, was dragging her by the hair, was sitting on top of her at one point,
punching her. She tried to run away. He chases her, grabs her, brings her back
in, and then throws her. Yeah. So like that's just there's a line there that's drawn. I think for me, I'm not really an advocate for like whoopings, spankings, beatings, that whole situation. That's not something that I would want to naturally go to.
Right.
I think I'm more of like the experience, right? So I want you to understand what consequences result in your behavior. So I would probably be more of the parent that would try to think creatively on how to show them, hey, this is what you're doing. This is a consequence. And so they can actually like see and experience that consequence so that they know, hey, is this the decision that I want to make in the future? That's kind of how I do it. I will also, of course, do punishments like taking, things away, right? Understand that privileges will be taken away. Those kind of things. I think the last resort for me would be like some type of like physical.
Right.
Like, and it would have to be something, you know what I mean?
Like you have to be at your wits' end.
I think for me to get to that point, if the child thought that they were going to harm me physically, that's when you'll knock up. To take it there. But for any other thing, I think it can be resolved. Number one, with communication, because I think a lot of times we do this discipline, but we don't even communicate why we're disciplined.
Why we're disciplined. They don't understand why this is happening.
Spanking them, and then we want them not to cry in the process of them being.
You better not cry.
You better not. Hush your mouth, right? Like you got that. Like that's traumatizing. You know what I mean? So it's like those kind of things. Like that's something I saw.
Trying to hold it in.
Exactly. And you like literally are like dry heaving about to like have.
I'm just being quiet.
I just remember that happening multiple times for me. So that's the area for me. I don't want to go that route.
Right. I'm sure Mama Miller
clear my throat.
did things a little differently.
Let me clear my throat right quick. Okay, so EJ and I have a very differing, I guess, difference of opinion on this subject. I come from the school of it takes a village.
The Whoopah tribe?
Yeah, huh?
The Whoopah tribe?
Yeah, exactly, that tribe. And I don't know what schools y'all went to, but in my schools, I mean, if you did something wrong, they took you to the principal, not the principal, but the assistant principal, and they would give you spankings with like
the principal did it?
Yeah, well, no, the assistant principal was responsible for like disciplinary stuff.
Hell no.
Yeah, I went to school in Tennessee, and it was still legal for that to happen.
It wasn't like that here.
I mean, so I'm not like foreign like of the village because when I was growing up, when we were living with my grandma, you got the grandma first.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, that's
You got
different
the
though.
mom,
The family is different.
and then you got whatever. But then also, like, they were really close. So, like,
Yeah.
if you messed up at someone else's house, they gonna spank
Yeah.
you, call
Yeah.
your parents, you gonna get
Yeah.
your grandma was the first person to meet you there. Whoever the first person is in the house when you get home.
You gonna get your
and
whipping.
then as everyone else gets home. So, yeah.
So that's, So Edward just explained the community that I come from. So, and I guess as a child, when I got whippings, I definitely understood the reason why I got a whipping. So it wasn't like I just got beat just for the sake of getting beat. So it was always a reason behind why you were being whipped. So I'm definitely, if once I become a parent, whipping will definitely be an option in my household. Yeah. So I don't know if it'll be the fifth
Randy
option,
Jackson.
but it's gonna definitely be based off of the situation that happens at hand.
The fifth option.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be the fifth option probably in my household, and of course my wife feels the same way with regards to getting whippings. I mean, I'm not going who's on Michael Jackson Daddy
Randy Jackson.
I'm not Randy.
Is that Randy?
Joe. I'm not
Joe Jackson.
Yeah,
What the hell am I thinking about? Yeah, what the hell am I thinking about? Joe. Yes.
That's American Idol, by the way.
Oh, damn, I'm way off.
Yeah, Randy. Yeah,
I'm way off.
I won't be going Joe Jackson on my kid, but definitely if they did something wrong, I have no problem in grabbing that belt or going out and get your switch and going ahead and get the whipping. Because I feel like, and also I think it depends on the type of kid you have. Some kids just do not respond to you talking to them. And in my opinion, sometimes you just have to go a different route of actually trying to get them to understand. And I think for most part, people do whipping just to kind of instill the fear or the option of, if you do something, this is what happens. So, I mean, I got whippings that turned out fine. I feel like
Have you turned out fine?
I think I have, yeah. So I think it is if you
have an
unhealthy relationship.
I know.
With your family.
I'm a market this as whipping with a purpose. So long as you whip with a purpose, I believe that you're going to be okay. Now, to comment on the video, that was way extreme. So I don't want anyone to think that I agree with anything that father did in that video. Not only to whip the child to the degree that they whip them, but also be recording at the same time. So that was definitely extreme. I'm definitely not for anything that severe, but definitely based off of the circumstances, not being afraid or having the option of actually whipping your child, I have no problem with it. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
So I have a different aspect on whipping, and I would tell you what we actually do in our household. First of all, I had a stepdad who, is not a secret. He was a drug abuser and all that, and he one day whipped my ass one day, like squared me up, like to the point that I couldn't go to school the next day because I had basically bruised ribs.
Oh Lord!
And then he beat my brother so bad that he had welches all on his back. My mom was afraid for my brother to go to school because she thought that DFAS would be called on us. So he was out of school for 2 days to make sure that happens. I remember one time, I don't remember what my brother did, but he was about to beat him. My mom comes rushing in between, because basically what happened was my stepdad had a bad day, and now he's taking it out on my brother. So, but that's what I don't want to happen with the women. I don't like I'll threaten you all day for a woman. I will threaten you all day. But do I really want to do it? No.
Okay.
So with our daughter, we do, and that's the kind of the problem that we have. Like you're talking about, EJ talking to kids about the consequences. What I have learned in my travels is kids don't give a fuck about the consequences. They still gonna do what they want to do. Like kids don't understand the big picture. They only understand what's in front of them right now. So like if you give them the option, you can have your candy now, or you can wait till later on today. They're gonna have it now because they want it now. They don't care about later on today. We'll go to the movies. We'll all hang out as a family. We're all eating candy. Now they're mad even then that they can't get it now. Yeah. Kids do not care about the consequences, and that's kind of what we are. We have sit here, and I want to be just like you. I want to be the parent that talks about the situation. My problem with me is I don't come across as very emotional. Like I'm very even killed, so I don't get too up. I don't get too mad about things, but I also don't get too sad about them either. And I want you to be able to talk to me. So we try to have real conversations with her to see what's going on, and they just still don't work. Like they haven't really worked. in a sense. Like we even talked about maybe even therapy, maybe, but they still haven't worked in the disciplinary action to the point that I'm almost feeling like maybe whooping's the only option. But I still, but you can still, we still kind of don't want to go there. Like we sit down and have a conversation with her. We sit there and talk to her about it, and that's my only thing, man.
Do you think that so you have a good approach as far as the let me try to talk it out, but once talking don't work, are you willing to take out the belt? That's a question that
I guess I'm different because I'm stepdad. So being stepdad for me is a little different. Like I have to, like my wife has to get to that point.
Will she ever get to that point?
I don't know, because I don't think we want to get to that point. I don't think we really want to. No, I think we're at a point where it might have to happen, but I don't think we want it to happen.
Well, also I feel that there's a whipping window.
So whipping window.
In terms of
whipping with a purpose, and a whipping,
and then it's like the levels of the options of whipping.
And the reason why I say that is because if you get to a point where the kid is not used to getting whippings, when they get that first whipping, then they're gonna be like, what is this? Like, so they're gonna be confused. I think you need to incorporate the whipping at a very young age. I would say a good three.
You're whipping a 3-year-old?
And granted, let me explain the whipping procedure for the 3-year-old. Let's just say the little kid reach for a candy or they do something they're not supposed to do. You just take the little hand, like say, no, don't do that. And they'll cry because kids are extreme, and then they'll go about their business. So I think once you kind of slowly incorporate them into the whipping process,
you build up to the stitches.
Wow.
You can't just go straight into whipping. You gotta prepare a kid for this whipping process. So,
but in Edward's point, doesn't that prove that it's not working?
No, it works. It has to be, like, granted, it can't just be straight whipping. It has to be incorporated with conversation and the whipping. So, like, you whip and then you're like, do you know why I whip you? You gotta,
so you whip them first before you explain.
So you explain, like, I'm about to whip you and you know why I'm about to whip you.
Right.
Then you whip them and say, can we have a conversation about this whipping? So I think
afterwards, you have a conversation about it?
So you go through your dry heave process where you like that part, and then once you do that part, then you're like, okay, you know what? You know why I whip you. So I'm joking, but I think some kids just do not respond to you just talking to them.
Do you think though the sex of the kid matter? Like, if a little boy, is it our job to whoop him? If a little girl, you think it's your wife's job?
I don't have kids personally, but in my opinion, if we were to have kids, and then if it was a boy, I think either one of us could do it. I think if it's a girl, I would prefer for my wife to do it. I don't know how comfortable I would be whipping my little girl, I guess.
So the boy gotta get it?
The boy gonna get it. Wow. And maybe that's a toxic masculinity issue. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying it's right or logic, but I would feel like if I had a daughter, I would love to have a different approach as far as how to handle her.
So you want your wife to be the bad guy?
But yes, I want her to be the bad guy because I guess, I don't want my daughter to hate me.
But your son, you're fine with.
My son, he can get it.
He can get it.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I feel.
This is literally the conversation we just had.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that's what toxic masculinity associated with it. I'm just saying he can get it. Is what I'm saying. So
I guess I want to get to. In my heart, don't want to whip any of them.
Yeah.
If I want to try to avoid it if I have to, but we're getting to that point where we might have to talk about it as an option. I'm just astounded by it. I hope you don't have a boy. No, I hope because he's gonna get it. I would say
he probably gonna get me back one day, and that's cool. But
he's gonna, and that's cool.
Yeah, when I'm old, he's probably gonna disabuse, but I'm pretty sure he'll appreciate it. When
he'll smack the heck out of you.
Let me tell you something. Once you become an adult and you look, and I'm guessing you have your own kids, you look back at your parent and you be like, you know what? I get it. I get why they was with me.
You think like going outside, pulling a switch, making you take a shower.
Yes.
You think I get it?
They make you take a shower.
Yeah. Y'all didn't do that?
That's abuse.
We did not have to
I ain't had to take a shower.
But we did have to. We did have to strip lots of showers.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
Reveal something that I didn't know.
You never had that?
So the shower to make it wet so that
So it stings more.
Oh my God.
no,
That's never happened to y'all?
So as you take a shower, are you crying knowing what's about to go down?
Yes. You try to dry off as best you can.
Oh my God.
Okay,
no.
I just got whipped at that point, and I didn't, I would.
It was pants down, lay over the tub.
I wouldn't know lay over that.
Yeah.
No.
And then when but when my mom knew that I was bigger and she couldn't hurt me, that's when the whipping stopped. That's when it was like hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
After that point.
Oh my God.
All I would say, and don't grab for the belt.
Don't grab for the belt because that's a threatening. That's a threatening maneuver.
This is very child abuse.
This is like,
but that's what
PTSD.
Yeah, sorry. So PSA, I don't have any kids, so if there's any parents listening to this podcast, I'm sorry. Don't blame me. I'm just kind of
that you would beat your kid.
Yeah,
you'll beat your son. You'll beat your son.
Yeah, only my son.
Wow.
So another video came up and EJ sent it to us, and it was this mom, and she dragged her kid out of. I guess he was being disrespectful to the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in the cafeteria. She drags him out and beats him in front of the. It's like if you went to elementary school, like the cafeteria is like a separate building, and outside there's a walkway. So she beats him outside there. A friend is videotaping this whole thing, and she has the little boy in front of the teacher apologizing. As he's trying to apologize, she's beating him more. She's calling him all types of
ends.
Yeah.
She's going to break his face in.
Yeah, all types of. Now that to me that is crazy. But that video, as soon as you sent me that video, I don't know how people want to take this, but I said there was no male in the household to do that, and that. I don't know if there's a male or not, but when I saw that video, that's what I said because I felt like that was extreme. It's like I understand that the kid should be punished, but this kid was like 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was literally elementary school.
Yeah, I mean, Shar might have did the same thing, so maybe I shouldn't make it like there's no male in that.
Because it's a male, and then
it's a little boy, so Shar might have did the same thing. But I'm like, this is
oh my God,
like I'm all for discipline, but you drag this little boy in front of. And the funny thing is, kids are so fickle. In 2 weeks, all them kids gonna forget that because she's yelling at him, "You embarrassed." In 2 weeks, they forget that all happened. The next mom will come in and be like. It'll move to the next one. They'll forget. I thought it was more embarrassing for her, and even the teacher was standing there, look awkward, like I didn't really want to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, my theory is there's no male in that household. Is it important for you guys to have 2 parents in the household? I mean, both. Well, no, you grew up with 2 parents in the household.
Yeah.
AJ.
I think it's important to have influence by both male and female, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it ideal to have a mother and a father in a household? I think the answer is yes, because as you go through life, your interactions are with both males and females.
Mm-hmm.
Is a single mother capable of raising a child? Absolutely. But I think in that situation, you have to ensure that there is some type of male influence there so they can get that side of life. And that's for both males, for boys and girls, because of course girls have to learn how to interact with the other counterpart, and then boys with the other way. Now, just to add another element to it, because of the society that we live in, you have situations where there's same-sex couples, where of course you have 2 women that can raise a child and you have 2 men that can raise a child. I think in that situation, those parents have to make a conscious effort to make sure that the child does get an influence from the other sex. So I think, to answer the question overall, I just think it's ideal to have both a mother and father there. But if it's not, you have to ensure that the kid get the other side of what's missing.
No.
So.
What about you, EJ?
Oh yeah. I mean, personally, I don't feel like there is a structure that you necessarily need. I do think that you need to make sure that there are influences on both sides. I agree. I think the single parent can be effective as long as they understand that they're going to have to put in more effort, and there's going to have to be more things that they do to make sure that the child is successful, right?
Absolutely.
Because you can have a kid in a two-parent home and they still be
Yeah, it's
working.
toxic.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's toxic.
Yeah.
So I think it's really more speaks to the parent themselves and how they're parenting and their style, and are they looking for ways to make sure that they're being effective as a parent
Right.
than necessarily having a male. I'm not a male and a man and a woman, but I think really the structure is more about what you're going to do and how you're doing
Right.
it.
Right. So I always say that it's very important to have two parents in the household because, man, kids is rough, man, and they will drive you a wall. They will drive you insane. I just told you we did everything in the book to try to talk to our daughter, and it's still not working. Like, you have to have, I think you have to have two people in the household, and this is why we have to be very, and what you were saying is that you could have two parents and still be toxic. I agree with that, but this is why you have to be extremely selective of who you lay down with and have a kid with, and we have to get away from the culture of I'm just trying to have sex with all these women and not actually understanding the consequences of that. So